I'm Jessie, your host, and welcome to a new episode of Marketing Talks. Today, from the heart of Beirut, I have my special MBA students, Ms. Houri Kazarian. Hello, Houri.
Hi.
And Ms. Abir Abed. Hello,
Hi.
Abir. Thanks for joining us today.
Sure.
Today, our topic will be about Starbucks, but its failure in two international countries. And in general, big brands, when they want to grow, they think of expanding internationally, going beyond their geographical borders. McDonald's failed in India, they failed in Jamaica. So it's really not a new something new that we hear a big brand failed before. So today, we're gonna tell our audience the story of those two stories of Starbucks actually in Australia and in China, for us to learn from this failure and also to maybe analyze a little bit how they could have avoided it, right?
Yeah.
Just to start, I would like to say that Starbucks, they started in 1971. They are existing in more than 80 markets or countries. They have more than 35,000 stores, and 43 of them are here in Lebanon. As you all know, Starbucks is a popular coffee store. It provides a very welcoming and ambient space for people to enjoy their drinks during studying, during meetings, and usually they target also high income and high spender customers. Okay, and what we know is that they have high quality products and fresh roasted beans. But Abir, I'm going to leave the floor now to you so you can tell us what happened in Australia.
Yes, sure. So basically, Australia has the 13th largest economy in the world, and it has a good coffee industry with revenue up to $1.6 million was in 2021. So, Starbucks being Starbucks, they would be why not go into this market, right?
Yes.
So they opened in year 2000, and they started opening very fast. And they reached up to 90 branches in 2008. So that's up to 11 branches per year.
Okay.
But during those 7 or 8 years, they had a loss of $105 million throughout those 7 years.
Wow.
And to operate, they had to borrow money from the US just to be able to operate. So in 2008, they were like, no, that's it. We need to close 2/3 of our branches. So they went from 90 and to 20 something branches in all of Australia. And then everybody started wondering what really happened in Australia. So the first failure was that they basically expanded too fast. They went they went strong. They thought Starbucks is popular. Everybody would want Starbucks. But Australians, they said, no, this is not what we want. They were not giving them what they want.
Okay.
So Australians have this love to coffee. Italians and Greek brought coffee to Australia, so they came with their espressos. So it was this strong taste, this bitter taste. They enjoyed that. With Italians, knowing this socially, so coffee comes with the social environment. Yeah. Everybody likes to talk over coffee and all of that. While Starbucks had the opposite environment concept. So you simply just grab your coffee and you leave. Yeah. They have the sugar taste coffees, the sugar taste drinks. So Australians were not really interested. And basically, Starbucks expanded too fast without really asking what do Australians want and what is it that they're looking for. So this was basically the first reason why it really failed in Australia, basically.
Wow. So the expansion wasn't really calculated.
No.
And it's not related to the geographical places of the branch. It was more related to the customer preferences.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. Yeah. So this was and talking also about the price, the high price of the coffees, because Australians in general, they can get any coffee from the local coffee shops. They had for cheaper prices. Exactly. For cheaper prices. And it's not that they do not like the international brands, because there's also Gloria Jeans.
Okay.
It's also an American coffee brand. But what Gloria Jeans did that Starbucks did not do in Australia is that they actually Australianized their menu. So they included some of the Australians' drinks, such as the flat white, the Australians macchiato. So they did way better than Starbucks and basically in Australia.
And do you think if they would have asked after those 7 years their customers, what would you like us to adapt or amend in our menu? Do you think they could have turned this failure or into a success story?
Yeah, I think so. But they still did not ask what do they need or what the Australians need in the market, because even now, although they're still operating with very minimal number of branches, but their target are actually tourists in Australia and not the locals.
Oh,
so they're just. It seems like they're not interested, maybe, to know about.
Or maybe they have this so much high ego, they don't want to change anything in them. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe they should have asked the consumers ahead of time before opening.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe.
And this is what usually companies do before entering a new market. They do a study, and it takes years sometimes.
Yeah.
It's not just like, okay, we've been successful here, so definitely we'll be successful everywhere. No, it's not the case. So yeah, I agree. They should have done a study and some stats, some experiences, some observations, maybe, to make sure that this entry would be in the right place, right moment, etc.
Exactly. So basically all they did is that they copied their strategy and they started pasting it without really going into what the market.
So they didn't go local, they just went global.
Correct.
All right.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Amazing. And perfect. So what about China? Let's move on to Huri now.
Yeah.
Tell us more about China.
Well, China basically took a different turn. So basically, when Starbucks entered the Chinese market, it was late 1990s, and Starbucks was basically entering a market where the people loved tea. They didn't have any interest in coffee back then.
Okay.
So this is one of the reasons why Starbucks at first struggled to enter the Chinese market, because, you know, Starbucks is more focused on coffee, roasted beans, not that much of tea.
Okay.
So the research shows that during the first 9 years of entering the Chinese market, Starbucks actually was failing. It was losing a lot of money. But what they did here was another success story for Starbucks. Actually, we can consider it a success story, since they shifted their strategy. They started to take into consideration what the Chinese people like, especially tea, especially the Chinese flavors. For example, they started to include in their menu something that is called ulai tea, jasmine tea, and these were the preferences of the Chinese consumers. They also started to include sweet flavors that Chinese people like, such as beans and stuff that makes the coffee more sweet and creamy. So this is the strategy that they used. Also, they used other strategies, such as they started to incorporate the Chinese atmosphere into their stores. So if you go to a Starbucks in China, you can see that the store is in red. They have the lanterns, they have the Chinese artwork into the stores in order to be able to attract the Chinese consumers. So these are the stuff that they did. They also started to partner up with local partners, local partners, in order to be able to bring the high quality roasted beans and the tea leaves, in order to make it more appealing to the Chinese consumers. Because what they learned was that Chinese, they love their tradition.
Yes.
And for a business to be able to succeed in China, they need to adapt to the Chinese customs and traditions. So this is what they did.
All right. So after 9 years.
Yeah. After 9 years of failing and losing, they changed their strategy.
Isn't it too much? Like, I mean, 9 years.
Like,
so. if you're not doing well, you can tell by the second or third year, right?
Exactly. But now it's a success. They were able to turn it into a success story. So this is, I think, it's very good for Starbucks.
Yes, sure. And speaking of the interior decoration, there are, I don't know if you've seen them, there are 20 unique Starbucks stores around the world that shifted a bit the concept of the interior decoration of Starbucks.
Yeah.
We have one in Dubai, we have one in Paris.
Yes, another one in Milan as well.
Yes.
We did the roastery, so
yes, 100%. So they can shift a little bit the interior decoration. And like you said, they adapted the menu to something that would appeal to the
their
audience.
preferences.
Yes.
Exactly.
I wonder why they didn't do this in Australia, right?
Yeah, me too.
They could have asked.
They could
This
have
is a big
asked.
question.
Exactly. This is because this is the main failure of the Starbucks in Australia. But I mean, if they were able to do it in China, I wonder why they weren't interested to do it in
Yeah.
So
Australia.
what we can say here as the moral of the story is to be flexible.
Yes.
Even if you have a nice selling products worldwide, in some countries or markets,
Doesn't
it
work.
might not be the case. So
Yeah.
flexibility is key here in order not to fail. That's
Exactly.
and yeah, you think Starbucks, that's a big name, that's a global brand. And then yet you feel like even those big brands, they can do some missteps sometimes.
Correct.
What about Starbucks in Lebanon? We know that the Lebanese, they love
They
their
love
own
it.
coffee,
Yeah.
the Turkish coffee, let's say.
Yeah.
But we can see here, Starbucks is a successful coffee shop, and people
Yeah.
go there.
Yeah.
What do you think of Starbucks in Lebanon?
Personally, I love it. I love their coffee. Some might consider that it's a bit overpriced if you compare it to other coffee shops, but the service they provide, the coffee, the high quality products they provide, I think it just makes it worth it. Also, you can go there for a meeting, you can go there to study, you can use this place for several options. So I think it's a success story in Lebanon. I'm not sure if Habib
Yeah.
agrees or no.
Yeah, but I think it depends on the people in Lebanon. I mean,
Yes.
Lebanese, they're interested in checking everything out and,
Yeah.
and seeing what other cultures have to provide. So although we like our own coffee, we enjoy our own coffee, but at the same time, we like to try new concepts and other things. So one day you might find me in Starbucks, but on another day you might find me elsewhere because we like to change from one place to another.
Yeah.
So basically, this is, I think, one of the reasons Starbucks.
Yeah,
is a
but I
success
believe
here.
Starbucks customers are loyal customers.
Yes.
So if you get your coffee from Starbucks today, I think you will keep on.
Yeah, unless
buying
you're
your
looking
coffee
for the
Exactly,
Turkish coffee.
exactly.
Yeah, basically.
I think they introduced the Turkish coffee again.
I'm
No?
not sure. I'm
Mm.
not sure. I don't know.
And speaking of the service, you mentioned the service. It's a self-service. You know this,
Yeah.
and the baristas and the connection that they build
Yeah.
with the clients,
Yeah.
writing sometimes the name
The names.
in a wrong way.
Exactly.
They misspell it on purpose.
Yeah.
I think all of this is part of the experience. But this high price or this premium pricing strategy, it's not for the service
For the
itself.
quality
It's more
of-
for the
Yeah.
quality, the brand,
The
the
brands,
experience,
yeah.
and the status that Starbucks has.
Exactly.
Now, if we go back a little bit to the Australian case, do you think we could recommend them like few steps? And I mean, we said they should have done a market study, okay? And you said there's another brand. Who adapted to the preferences,
Correct.
and they did. I mean, they conquered the market in a way. Do you think they would try again? Do you think Starbucks would try again, or they surrender? They surrendered already.
I think they changed the target, their market basically. But I mean, if they want to be there, they can. They can turn Starbucks into the place where people can actually meet and enjoy their coffee rather than have this coffee on the go. They just have to adapt just a little bit to the culture, and it's nothing major. I mean, even the taste of the drinks, they can introduce the main Australian drinks, for example, the flat white and the Australian macchiato. It's okay. I mean, if they did it in China, China they actually introduced tea, which is
a completely a whole different thing.
concept.
Yes.
So why not? I'm still not sure why they're not into introducing these new concepts. It's just all what the Australians really want is simply have this nice space for them to sit, chat, have their strong coffee taste, and that would be it. I think so.
So I'm not sure if they can use another branding method. I'm not sure if they can sponsor events, for example. They did this in China, actually. Starbucks sponsored Beijing Olympics.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so this brought a lot of exposure. to Starbucks. So I'm not sure if they can do something like that related to Australia, but
Yeah, maybe I think so.
Yeah, we can suggest that. Why not? Listen, usually when we go international, or when a brand want to go international, there's a main element of the culture which is the two things that are most sensitive are the culture and the food preferences.
Yeah.
These are the most important, let's say, or the most sensitive elements. And here in the case of Australia, they had both.
Yeah,
I
sure.
mean, the way they were serving quick, while Australians, they love something more smooth and sitting, relaxing and talking.
Sure.
And the taste as well.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's how we learned two things today.
Yeah.
So Huri and Abir, I know you showed a lot of passion towards marketing, and Starbucks is one of the cases we covered, and thanks for sharing it with us today. Anything else you want to say?
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity. It was great.
Great. Thank you, ladies. That was our episode today of Marketing Talks, and see you in the next one.